here, and today we're taking a look at Never Alone. Now, this is a game that has been receiving quite a bit of attention recently, and I thought I'd take a look at it for myself. Now, at the outset, it is a platforming game that's definitely intended for co-op play. You play as two different characters. There's the Arctic Fox, who is simply called Fox, I believe, and this girl that is named Nuna, or Nunia. And it's set in this world that is sort of based on the native Alaskan culture. And the game itself seems to be set up as a sort of art piece in a way, and at the same time a sort of educational piece where it's trying to teach the player about the native Alaskan culture, as well as a bit of their folklore and legends and stories and that. At the beginning, you have the option of checking out a few of these cultural insights, is what they're calling these, and there's sort of documentary video clips that go through particular aspects of the culture, talking about the game and how the story ties in and how things in their actual culture function. For example, like the hierarchy system, giving you a bit of background about what the people are like. This is a very big part of the game, and it seems to want to teach you more as you go along. After all, one of the unlockable things is the cultural insights themselves. And as you progress throughout the game, you'll find little owls that every time if you touch one, it'll unlock a new clip for you to watch. So it's very nice in that aspect that it has these insights there. As a platformer, it's decent. I wouldn't say it's fantastic or great in any particular way, and simply because it's not trying to innovate or do anything particularly new as far as platforming goes, but it is doing what has been tried and tested in the past. For example, making use of the wind as an element to extend jumps, or to I suppose make use of counterbalancing and weighting physics to lift a platform over the other. These things have been done before. It's just that while they're reusing these elements, they're doing it particularly well. They're not doing it badly. So I won't say that it's bad, it's just it's not doing anything particularly new, which is fine. It's just if you're looking for something new, maybe not so much for you. So you switch between the two characters by hitting Y. I am using a controller. And this is in the single player mode only. See, if you were to play this in co-op mode, you would be able to control both characters simultaneously. So the game is played simply by clearing particular obstacles in different ways, and one of the key mechanics in the game is the use of spirit animals. So from time to time, a spirit animal will appear, because the fox is capable of communicating with them, so once in a while they will appear, and you have to make use of them as additional platforms. And these tend to move if the correct character is on them. So, for example, placing the fox on top of one of the bird spirits, or I think it's a loon or something. Placing him on top of that will cause it to move, and then you can bring both characters on top, and then it'll move again so you can progress through the level. So throughout the game it is telling you the story of this girl whose village has been hit by a blizzard, and they're not able to go out hunting and they're starting to starve. So while she goes out trying to find out what happens, the village gets attacked by some sort of strange man. Right, I'm trying to avoid too much in spoilers, but this is about 1 hour of the way through, and the game itself is about 4 to 5 hours long. So it's not a very long game, but it seems to have a fairly concise story anyway. The biggest problem I have with this game, though, comes in the form of the way it is attempting to educate the player. Because after all, the cultural insights there are probably one of the bigger parts of the game, aside from the actual story and the platforming. The thing is, the way in which it's done seems to it takes the player out of the game. You have to go back to the menu and you have to watch it from there. So it's not exactly built into the game. So I guess what I'm getting at here is more that if you want to it would have been nicer to see those insights kind of woven into the actual gameplay as part of a gameplay element. For example, maybe in the actual story you have these things built in, or have it written into the actual game. That would be, to my experience, probably more effective at trying to convey the message across, because the player does not need to come out of the game in order to do that. At the same time, pulling the player out of the games will kind of break the immersion that there's already been built up. So by going back in and out of this, it tends to disrupt that flow, which can negatively affect the game. Players trying to get involved into the story and trying to stay involved in it to a degree will be less likely to come out of it. And of course, after the game is completed, it's kind of a 50-50 whether you'll go back to watch the insights or not. So, which is kind of disappointing, because these particular insights as well, their clips have very high production value. They are actually very well put together. Having looked through some of them already, they've gone through the trouble of doing good quality voiceovers, interviews, and just overall production value is just really, really high. So definitely, I mean, if it's something that interests you, to definitely go and check it out, because it is just something that is actually really well done. It's just that it would have been nice to see that as part of the game, instead of something that's on the side. It seems to have that sort of DVD bonus features section vibe about it, which is unfortunate, because it feels more like a main event when watching it, not so much a bonus. So that's just my 2 cents on it, but I think that, yeah, of course you might see it differently, but to me it just feels like it should have been given more agency in that sense. But overall, is it any good? Well, Never Alone is a competent platformer. It's not particularly innovative, so if you're looking for something new in the sort of puzzle platforming or adventure genre, you're not going to find anything too new, in a sense. But it is good at what it does. It's using tried and true mechanics, and it does them particularly well. The controls might seem a little imprecise when you first try it, but after a little while of getting to it, I think about 10 to 20 minutes, you kind of adjust to it, and it seems to work out fairly well. There are keyboard controls as well, and those seem to perform reasonably well. In fact, it's mouse and keyboard controls, so for PC users, you definitely have that option as well. I prefer to use a controller for it, but that's, you know, it's personal preference. But the game does also have the feeling of a game that is designed for local co-op, and in fact I was told by the developers to try that, because it seems like that's what they had in mind when they made the game to begin with. So if you are able to, definitely it would be worthwhile checking that out. It seems that in a lot of cases it functions better doing that, because the AI for the other player is not particularly bright all the time. But that being said, it still is functional in single player, and you can still play it through in single player, so it is not bad for that. So overall, it's a fairly decent platformer. It's just that maybe the intention of having a kind of cultural education as a secondary function, or even as a main function for this game, is kind of lost, because it's not part of the game and it's kind of left to the side there. So that's my only sort of negative point to it. It's just that it's kind of taking the player out in order to teach them something, instead of working it into the game. This has been Panzer taking a look at Never Alone, now available on Steam for $14.99 or your regional equivalent currency. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.